Hello, it's Stacey Tuttle with Bridges 52.7. I'm going to give a quick movie review on Liam Neeson's The Marksman. And not so much a movie review, a little more just how we can maybe find connections between faith and our culture in the movies that we're watching. So for this one, there were two main things and they kind of overlap. The first is that Jim, Liam Neeson's character, kind of discovers he comes across a woman and her child that have been crossing the border. They're in danger. He ends up trying to help them, and the mom dies. I mean, it's just a bunch of craziness. The cartel's after them. And so the cartel's chasing them from the south, and then they're in trouble from the States because they're illegal. And he's kind of caught in the middle of this. He does not have a great desire to help anybody, but he kind of gets thrust into this. But we see that general, just that amazing biblical principle where things are so upside down that when we try to hold on to our life, we end up losing it. But when we're willing to lose it and we lay it down for somebody else, that's when we actually find it. So there's such a sweetness that comes into his life as he is risking his life and willing to give up his comfort, his home, all these things for the sake of this boy and his mom. But again, the mom died, so it ends up being mostly just for the boy and the promise that he made to his mom. And then along with that, there's cartel money involved. The mom had some money that they discover was actually stolen from the cartel, and that's partly why they are after them. And this boy, she was thinking that money would be a start for him. And now he's an orphan in America. You would imagine he might really need that money. But he hates the money and he can't stand it because this is why his mom is dead. It's why, all this tragedy has happened in his life. And he's like, I don't want it. So, and then Jim, Liam Neeson, he's like, I don't want it either. I don't need the money. So they burn it. They burn it. And it's like thousands of dollars just going up in flames. And honestly, the practical side of me, that's kind of hard. I'd probably be like the disciples criticizing Mary for pouring out the oil on Jesus' feet, going, my gosh, we could feed the poor with that. There is a sense of the wastefulness of that gesture that was not lost on me. It was painful a little bit, but I think that's partly why it made such an impact. And I can't help but think of times in the Bible where the Lord would say, go in and take this nation. But then when you conquer them, I want you to take nothing from the camp. And I'm like, but that would be really practical. They're moving into a new land. They could use the animals to feed their people. They could use the gold to build stuff with and barter and trade and whatever. And the Lord's like, they don't need any of it. He told him to keep nothing. And not everywhere, but a lot of the places that he went. Because a lot of that stuff was like this drug money. It was dedicated to something evil. It came out of something evil. It had curses all over it. And there was no point in keeping it because nothing good was going to come from it. And when the Lord gives good gifts, he brings no sorrow with it, he says. And so they burn the money. They decide they don't want the sorrow that comes with it. There's nothing good to come from that money. And it just is a good reminder to me that the Lord wants his bride purified. He wants us clean. He wants us to be fully his. And he wants to see that we trust him. So there's two things there. One is the cleansing of his bride, and the other is the trust. And our holding on to things of this world are a violation often of one or the other of those principles. And it's saying that we don't trust God to provide, so we have to hold on to this. I don't know how I'm going to survive, so I need the money. And you know what? God can rain down food from heaven. He's done it before. There's nothing he cannot do. And he is not broken. He's not without creative strategies. So as we let go of our world and the things we're holding on to, we get the freedom to see how he's going to provide. And we're really free from the sin that entangles. I mean, what is that Paul says? Set aside all the sin that entangles so that you can run with endurance the race that is set before you. And so that was really my challenge as I came out of this movie, was to really consider, like, what are the things that I'm holding on to because they seem financially practical. They seem like I want to be provided for, so I feel like I need to keep this or whatever it may be, rather than just going, it's all the Lord's. And Lord, I can get rid of anything. You come first. I have no idols. I have no need for any of this stuff. I can let go of any of these things because you're my provider. And if this thing comes with sorrow, I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'd rather be purified in front of you. So, it was just kind of my challenge to look at my life and really think about Is there anything that he's asking me to set aside? Anything that I should just go burn because for whatever reason, it's either taking my trust from him or it's defiling me in some way. So those are my two takeaways. And I think they're both connected because they both have to do with letting go of our life or the things that we feel like we need for our life and trusting the Lord to provide what we need and trusting that as we give up everything, that's when we gain it. So hopefully this helps as you're thinking through your movie nights and gives you a little way to transform something into something more meaningful than just checking out for a couple hours. Thanks.